Hey guys, this is my brand new YouTube show, Game and Tinker. I'm really excited about this, guys. This channel's been in the works for about a month now, and in that time I've been thinking about what sorts of topics I'd like to discuss with you guys. And in that time, what I've thought about is budget computer hardware, older hardware that users like you or me might want to use for your next system. And the reason I think a lot of people turn towards used hardware is because it's cheaper, but it also has a lot. It still can have some upgrade potential, and it shows a lot of performance even today. You don't always have to go to the newest parts on the market. What I plan on doing is looking at hardware that is available today, on sites like eBay or even on Amazon, and from there, providing my recommendations as to whether I feel like you should be using it in your next builds. I'm really excited about this today, guys. I think it's time to get right into our topic, and that is this. The focus of our video today is the Dell Optiplex 9010. Made in 2012, this is a used office PC that looks like it could get a lot done. I bought this machine from my university's surplus management center for $65. The front of the case looks formidable and includes an optical drive as well as front audio and 4 USB ports. Moving around to the back, we find this system has some USB 3.0 on the back, as well as a discrete GPU and an Ethernet card. Certainly a decent productivity system for someone working at a university. Okay, so now that we've had a chance to look outside the case, let's get into it. The case opens up via the side panel by pulling this lever to the side, then pulling the panel backwards. Inside, we find an MATX motherboard, mounted to which is a Core i7-3770 CPU and a Radeon HD 7570 graphics card. Also of note is that this computer case came with a standard form factor power supply, coming in at 240 watts. While the system did not come with a hard drive of any sort, I was able to add a 240GB SSD containing an install of Windows 8.1. I'll be using this Windows installation as a way to benchmark older systems I don't already have an install for. Speaking of benchmarks, it's time to test what this system is capable of. In this channel, I intend to explain the purpose or thinking behind each benchmark before I do them, so you get a good idea of what to expect. You could say that I'm attempting a scientific approach to these benchmarks. For CPU benchmarking, I'm using Cinebench R15, which is excellent for getting apples-to-apples comparisons between CPUs of different ages and platforms. This will also help us gauge whether the CPU might be a potential bottleneck for the system. To benchmark gaming performance, I'm using a small range of titles that I often play on my own. My own games library is constantly expanding as time goes on, so I do expect I can produce more in-depth and detailed analyses in the future. Minecraft is a basic title that most modern GPUs should be able to handle, but bad CPU performance can hurt it if you're not careful. Team Fortress 2 is a bit more demanding, but it should run on weaker discrete graphics cards without issues. Overwatch is included to best represent esports titles, and finally we get a taste of the AAA experience through Rise of the Tomb Raider. How will the HD 7570 match up in each of these titles? Where are its strengths and weaknesses? Alright, so we're starting with Cinebench R15, and here the Core i7-3770 gets to flex its muscles a little bit. It earns an average multi-core score of 679 and a single score of 142. Interestingly, this puts the 3770, a 7-year-old processor, in line with the Ryzen 5 1600X in terms of single-core performance. Clocked at 3.6 GHz, the newer CPU earned a single-core score of 148 in my testing. This could suggest that the two CPUs may have similar IPCs, or the Intel chip may actually be greater. Next up is Minecraft, which when run at 1080p and fancy graphics settings was able to achieve an average frame rate of 163. This doesn't come as much of a surprise, however it does indicate that if you're using this system for productivity, you should still be able to do light gaming on the side. Team Fortress 2 ran well with an average FPS of 56 when run at the highest settings in 1080p. The 1% and 0.1% lows do suggest you may come across some stutter in busy areas. However, and in a chaotic game like this one, you're bound to run into these situations from time to time. It is something to think about. Overwatch ran decently at 1080p in low settings, earning an average FPS of 46. As with Team Fortress 2, this game's 1% and 0.1% lows do suggest there may be some difficulty playing in busy scenes. However, the game as a whole was very much playable. In fact, it was quite a pleasure, as I haven't played this game in quite a long time. Finally, we come to Rise of the Tomb Raider, which through its in-game benchmark scored an average frame rate of 31 FPS. This doesn't seem too bad until you consider that it took an extreme 800 by 600 resolution with the lowest graphics preset to get us there. And with a minimum FPS of 11 through the benchmark, the AAA gaming experience isn't the most enjoyable to be had on this system. Alright, so we've seen benchmark results from Cinebench R15, we've seen results from Minecraft, TF2, Overwatch, and even Rise of the Tomb Raider. So with all of this in mind, what does this tell us about the power of the Dell Optiplex 9010, and specifically the i7-3770 and the HD 7570? Well, the truth is, if you're looking to just play lighter games and you're looking to do things like esports or maybe even an occasionally slightly tougher game, I think that this system in its current state would be able to handle it. However, if you're wanting to go into something even more in depth than that, Rise of the Tomb Raider, heavy AAA titles, the system's just not going to do it in its current state. So the logical thing to do would be to upgrade the graphics card. My GTX 1060 behind me is currently in my main system. I attempted to take it out and put it into the case, but as it turns out, it doesn't fit. It was a rather disappointing result. I currently don't own any other powerful graphics cards that you can actually stick in that will fit in here. So instead, I just showed myself kind of putting pitifully this other graphics card inside and trying to make that work, which of course it would, but no big deal there. So essentially what you would want to do in this situation is upgrade the graphics card. A single fan GTX 1050 off of eBay, you might be able to find one for upwards in the ballpark of $90 to $100. It's not a horrible deal when you think about it, and when you do it that way, you'd be able to get affordable 1080p gaming with a super powerful processor, especially for its age. And I think that's pretty good. Alright guys, so I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I'll see you next week, and we'll see if anything changes, what comes up. I'm really excited about this, guys. I love it. We'll see you.